Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Safe Haven Sanctuary. And today we have an absolutely divine, most absolutely amazing guest. I'm so excited to have her. We have the one and only Eleja SunStar. Thank you so much for being here. So, I am going to give a little introduction to Eleja. So, Eleja is a Sophianic. Am I pronouncing that right? Sophianic? Sophianic medicine woman, divine feminine leadership mentor, and womb sovereignty oracle. I'm going to be asking you a question about that after. She is the founder of Sanctuary of Sophia, a New Earth sisterhood that is devoted to empowering rising oracles, priestesses, medicine women, and divine feminine leaders of the New Earth. Eleja leads women on transformative journeys through the Sophianic realm as they reclaim their womb, their power, their freedom, their medicine, their truth, and their sovereignty. That is just so powerful. Okay, Eleja, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, my love.
Oh, hi, sister. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I can feel the potency of like what's brewing between us right now. And
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, so honored. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's an honor. It's an honor to have you here. Um, so my first question to you is you have such a multi-dimensional title, and one of the things that stood out for me was Sovereignty Oracle. And I would really love you to go just deeper into, I mean, that specifically, but maybe just tell everybody the kind of general work that you do. It's not really general because it's so multifaceted, but yeah, people in your world, like what can they expect to experience from you? What's your mission here?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking.
Mm.
So, my mission is connected into my medicine sanctuary, which is Sanctuary of Sophia. And so, the New Earth Sisterhood, that is Sanctuary of Sophia, is holding the temple for women who are in leadership of the New Earth. And so, it's for sovereign women who are reclaiming their magic, their medicine, their sovereignty, and it's womb wise. So it's connected into reclaiming their wombs as a part of their sovereign journey of divine feminine reclamation, because womb sovereignty is a pillar of divine feminine
Mm.
reclamation. And so as I've been birthing the sanctuary for the past couple of years now, since I received the download, the codex for it, been praying for it, for my whole life, basically, of like, what's my
Yeah.
mission, right? And then it finally dropped in. And so in my space that I hold a lot of different experiences and containers and my membership and all these different things. But a big part of it is focused on womb sovereignty. And what that means is I'm supporting women reclaim their wombs, their organic womb consciousness, connecting with their organic womb consciousness and reclaiming their power through their wombs, which means any aspects of their womb that's being influenced or harvested or connected into something that isn't God's source, we're calling it
Hmm.
back. And when women start to reclaim their womb sovereignty, it just brings in this experience of autonomy over their conscious creation. And so I received the title, right, of Womb Sovereignty Oracle, which has evolved over time. But basically, wombs just speak to me. So I have a gift as a womb sovereignty oracle and as a womb wise medicine woman where I can connect with the womb consciousness when I work with women. And so our wombs connect and the womb speaks to me of like, this is what's going on within this
Yeah.
organic womb of the sister. This is what's blocking her. This is what's here. This is like the grief that's here or the gifts that are here. This is what's opening up. And so through my own journey of womb sovereignty and reclaiming my own womb power, it led me deeper into this work and to birthing and leading the womb sovereignty movement, which is a part of Sanctuary of Sophia's mission. So that kind of sums it up.
Oh, that is so juicy. And I love the uniqueness of your work because, you know, I think that especially as women, our wombs, it's not just like where we create physical life. It's like, I mean, as entrepreneurs too, it's like where we create our ideas. It's where like our sensuality and our sexuality lies as well too. And I think really harnessing into the power of that creates not just only expansion and healing, but like you said, sovereignty. And so you also mentioned the term new earth. And okay, wait, before I go into that, I had another question. So when you said you tune into the womb consciousness, is that just like a general consciousness, or does each woman have their own womb consciousness, like a very individual one? And are you connecting to that specific woman's womb consciousness, or is it like two things, like her womb consciousness and also the mother of womb consciousnesses as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. I think this is a big part of a woman coming home to her womb is
Mm,
coming home to her individual unique womb consciousness. So the
yes.
way that I have seen it in my own journey and then also supporting women and also in my own like studies with womb shamanism is the womb holds her own organic consciousness, which is like her own blueprint. And so I see the womb consciousness as a part of like the field, right? So we have our field, our light body, and our consciousness, of course, is comprised of like our light body is our consciousness. And
Yeah.
so when we go into the womb, it's almost like an extension of us, but she has her own soul signature frequency. And I see her as like almost having this like sisterhood relationship with your womb.
Yeah.
And she, of course, is deeply connected to the womb of Gaia Sophia. And so when women come home, a part of the practice that I teach is also connecting into the womb of Gaia Sophia because she wants to support in the sovereignty of every woman coming home to her organic womb consciousness, which holds the architecture, like the light body architecture and the blueprints, the templates, the
Hmm.
codes, right? All of the gifts across like the soul's lifetimes, all of the womb wisdom, the records, right? Like there's something that I call the womb Akash. And this summer we
Yes.
reclaimed the womb Akash of the womb inside my membership and brought that home. And so it's like holding the womb wisdom not only of your soul but also of your bloodline of your
Yeah.
multidimensional bloodline and the wise women who came before you just before this call. I was connecting into this song because I have indigenous ancestors on my mother's side,
Yeah.
and I'm actually bringing them in now because these earrings I picked up from the reservation.
Oh, they're
My
beautiful.
these. Thank you so much. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just connects me to my ancestors that my mother carried in her womb, that womb wisdom. And so this is all accessible through our organic womb consciousness. It's not only the gifts, but also, yeah, the grief, the pain that we
Hmm.
also transmute through connecting in with that and knowing, oh, this is what I'm holding in my womb that was passed down from my bloodline. But also, when I heal that, I also get to expand into the gifts from all of the mothers who came before me. So
Yeah.
it's a very sacred journey of really tapping into what's in your organic womb consciousness. And I think
Mhm.
this is the missing link for a lot of women when doing this work.
Yeah. I completely agree. I recently, or not recently, maybe about a year ago, I did a womb healing through, gosh, what is that modality called? Family, family constellation?
Yeah.
Hmm. So I had to go back into my mom's womb and like be reborn again. It was a really, honestly, it was a really beautiful practice that I was guided to do. And so I was like in just like this dark room, and I had womb music on, like how it feels to be in a womb. And I had to be reborn again and kind of rewrite that whole narrative. Because so I'll just share with you a little bit about that is so when I was born, I was in a lot of distress, and the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck 3 times, and my mom's placenta came out before I did. Yeah. So she was in distress for a really, really long time. And I was born through a C-section. And so I'm not sure if this teaching aligns with the teaching that you practice, but what I was told was that sometimes when you are born through a C-section, because it's not the quote unquote natural way through vaginal birth, that it changes your sense of belonging in the world as a woman. or as a child, I should say. So I'm not sure if that's something that aligns with your practices, but I just thought I'd share that. But I think womb healing, like that practice, and I did, some deeper family constellation stuff with that, but it was super healing for me because I didn't know all that information before and how as human beings and like what happens in the womb with our mom, like her feelings and not only just from our moms but from before, like how my mom was born and her mom was born, like the whole lineage, and how it really impacts you as an individual and how you show up in this world. Like there's a lot of things in my own personal experience where like I was carrying that. I didn't understand, and I was like, oh shit, like that's actually not even mine. Like it's my ancestors, you know? And it could be very confusing for someone who, maybe doesn't know those things, right? And so I'd really love for you to expand on, because you mentioned Gaia Sophia, and I'm not sure if, some of our listeners know what that is. So if you would like to expand on that, because you talk about the power of Gaia Sophia and allowing her healing to come into the womb. And yeah, so who is or what is Gaia Sophia, and how does that kind of come into your practices when you're helping women heal their womb or build a deeper connection to it, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I first just really want
Hmm.
to speak into that for a moment and just honor
Thanks.
your journey
Thank
because
you.
that's a huge piece. And I really honor that you had the courage to go into that process of
Yeah.
traveling back and going into the womb and experiencing that from such a conscious perspective as a woman reclaiming her womb, because how
Mm.
our mother carried us in the womb, what she was feeling, what was going on in her life,
Mm-hmm.
her
Yeah.
emotions, her energy, and also of course the birth and how you came into the world that absolutely affects that. And I actually have gone through holistic doula training with
Oh,
Wapio.
wow.
Yeah, the matrona who is Wapio, she's such an incredible elder, and I've had the privilege to learn from her in person,
Okay.
and be trained in holistic doula work, which is something I'm starting to begin to offer that I haven't really shared. But this is beautiful
Yeah.
because when you take the perspective of the birth as well, and like going into your own birth around that, it really does bring in such freedom and understanding around your own process. And so I think that's absolutely beautiful that you had that opportunity because
Thank you.
how you enter the world and like it really does impact your sense of the connection to your mother as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is into right the mother wounds and your own relationship with your womb and
Yeah.
what that feels like. So I think that's really beautiful that you were able to heal that, and
Thank you.
it's absolutely definitely a piece of the greater puzzle around all of that. Um, and yeah, so Gaia Sophia. So Gaia Sophia, she is the ascended consciousness of this planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Earth, like if you think of like third dimensional Earth, and then you
Mm-hmm.
think of Earth ascending because this whole planet is ascending, right? And that's why
Yeah.
humanity is ascending because she's decided to ascend. So Gaia Sophia is the feminine Christ. It's the feminine aspect of God. So when I say Gaia Sophia, I'm like talking about the feminine Christ being that is this earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's she's in her ascended consciousness. And so she is bringing us along on her ascension journey.
Yeah.
And she her womb, the womb of Gaia Sophia, is just this grounding, nourishing space that allows women to journey deeper into their wombs. And it's you can think of it as like this cosmic womb, and it's deeply connected in with the dragon mothers too. And so the dragon energy as well of this planet. And Gaia Sophia, she is nature. She is the essence of the beauty that surrounds us when we are in nature. She is that organic essence. And so connecting with the planet is a really powerful process, as you know, like to
Yeah.
really support you in your own healing. And so she will take it. And so when you develop a relationship with Gaia Sophia, with her, and you honor her, and you're in sacred reciprocity with her, and you are asking her and the trees and the land that you live on, and building a relationship
Mhm.
with, the land that you're stewarding, and wherever you find yourself to be, right? And so having a relationship and asking, what can I do for this land? Can I hold, prayers? Can I pick up trash? Can I, if
Mhm.
you're, I'm a grid worker, so like I do a ton of grid work, and I support the land in those ways as well. But just connecting and asking how you can be in right relationship with her
Yeah.
will allow her to also deeply support you, because she wants to support you in your healing, because that's what we're doing together. So, when it comes to womb healing work, even just connecting in and feeling this sense of connection with her, laying belly down on the earth, releasing your,
Mhm.
your womb to the earth and asking her to take it is so powerful, especially when you're consciously building that relationship with her.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing the nature aspect into this, just because I mean, I know even with my healing and from what I teach my clients as well too, is this is such a huge aspect of it. And I feel like there's a huge gap just even given like how much we depend on technology and social media. And I've even seen it in myself. Like so right now I'm in Canada right now just visiting family. And I've just noticed, and just being completely transparent, I've just noticed like how I'm less in nature when I'm here. It's so interesting. And when I'm in Mexico, I am out in nature all the time. Like all the time. And it's such a different feeling there too. And you talked about, letting her hold it for you. I would, and I still do this, and I haven't done it in a long time, but I would just go to the ocean and I would stand in the water and I would set my intentions. Like, and I've gone through the deepest and darkest things in my life there. Like I was just healing so much like from the beginning of when I started my journey there. And just being in the ocean and setting my intentions. And I would go underwater. I did these two rituals. I would go underwater and I would just scream because I had like this sacred anger in me. And I was just asked the water. I just asked the ocean. I just asked her to just hold my anger and just transmute it. Right? Because I couldn't hold it myself anymore. And my body didn't want to, right? So I did that. Um, and then, even just like floating in the water and just asking to be held and it's, I never used to be a strong swimmer. So this is at the beginning of my journey, like becoming a stronger swimmer. And I'm just like laying there and I'm laying in the water and I'm like feeling the sun just beating down on me. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm practicing trust. I'm practicing surrender right now. I'm practicing receiving and being held because that's what I was craving so badly, right? And it's something that, I wasn't used to. And so leaning on nature and actually bringing our bodies, not just our physical bodies, but our energetic bodies and, the trauma that we've had and allowing nature to just hold it for us, like intentionally. Like when we can set intentions in nature, like there's so much magic and miracles that can happen within our body, within our minds, but like also within our external life. It really is just such a domino effect. So
Mhm.
I love what you said around laying belly first in the earth. I've actually never done that before, so that's my homework when I go back to Mexico. People are gonna see me on the beach just laying belly first in the sand.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I so resonate. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that practice.
Yeah.
I can just feel like I had full body chills, like just feeling that healing process for you, and how potent it was, and how connected you
Yeah.
allowed yourself to become to the water too,
Yeah.
and to allow her to hold you.
Mm.
And I totally resonate. I used to live on an island in South Carolina, and I was outside constantly,
Yeah.
and I lived between two rivers and then 20 minutes away from
Ooh.
the ocean. So I was always, and I'm like
Yeah.
a mermaid. So I was like,
Yeah.
I have to be by water. Like I'm an island life. Like I belong on an island. It's just
Yeah.
who I am. has a soul. And so when I moved there, it was like my sanctuary for 5 years. And so I was always outside too. And then when we sold everything, we closed down our healing business. And then when we, now have been living the full-time grid worker RV life for the last
Yeah.
18 months, being outside it's been very illuminating because when it's cold, like I'm in Ohio right now, and the last 4 days, today is nice, thank goodness, but the last 4 days was like 45 degrees and rain. And I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
equipped for cold weather. It's just not who I am. And I
Yeah.
like forced myself to go out, but I couldn't really get deep into my practice because I was
So
so
cold.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
in the cold. And I've been spending more time inside. But the thing is like when we are inside, we lose touch with organic consciousness
Mm-hmm.
because we are surrounded in boxes by technology, by Wi-Fi, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Just literally stepping outside, even for like a half hour, even
Yeah.
for 5 minutes to just touch a
Mm-hmm.
tree, ground in, it completely brings you out of any sort of like
Yeah.
overlays that are connected into that. And so, yeah, nature is such a huge part of healing. And I think it's a lot easier when you live somewhere that supports that lifestyle, which
Mm-hmm.
is why I'm like, I'm so ready to go south. Like, my soul is just like, let's get there. I still
Yeah.
have work to do here. So I'm making the most of it. But yeah, I totally
Yeah.
resonate. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, your life is so interesting because you have been traveling so much in an RV. And not just and you mentioned around like it being a part of your mission around your grid work, right? And like I think like that's such a beautiful devotion and dedication that you have. I just really want to acknowledge that just because I can't say I know really anyone who has like, hey, I'm just gonna pack up and travel and just like go heal land. That's a part of my mission. And like you've literally sacrificed having a rooted home to carry out your bigger mission. And I know it's temporary, but still like 18 months is a long time, right? So I just really want to acknowledge that and your devotion, like this just says so much about your leadership and like your mission as to why you're here and how committed, how dedicated and how focused you are. And also at the same time, um oh goodness, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought, but I just want to acknowledge that because yeah, like I mean, like I said, like there's not a lot of people who would do that. Like your mission is your priority. I can 100% see that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really received that. It's been really hard. Like, I won't be like, it's
Mm-hmm.
been great. No, like, I have resisted the whole thing. I never had been in an RV before we
Yeah.
bought one. I had never, like, that was just, it's 25 feet. It's me and my partner and our cat. We're in this little
Yeah.
RV. What I was reflecting on was like, I never would have grown and stepped into my leadership and my power if I would have stayed in our cozy island home
Mm-hmm.
and been in my comfort zone. And so when God called us forward like this, it's like, okay, we're going to do it. And it's been the most intense transformation, up leveling. Like I feel like I've died like 100 times since like we left the island
Yeah, I
and
can
been
imagine.
reborn. But it had like if you're on the accelerated path, like you get it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the path. Like it never would have happened this quickly. And I was actually reflecting because I've also been building my business. Like I was just opening Sanctuary of Sophia when we left the island.
Oh
And
wow.
so I've been building my business. I've also been in this shamanic ceremonial training school for the last year on the road and going into ceremony and retreats and like flying
Yeah.
places and just I was expressing to someone like when you have a mission and you are devoted to it and you know this is my purpose and it's so much bigger. And that's what God expressed to me last year when I was on the verge of like everything of like leaving here, of like committing to the school that I'm in and devoting myself. God was like, this is so much bigger than you and I need you to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reflecting yesterday that like my business has grown by like 85% over
That
the
is
last year
amazing.
because it's like of the devotion, right? And
Yeah.
it's like who I've shifted into. And that I don't feel would have ever happened if I would have just stayed. in my comfort zone
Yeah.
and also like listen to my womb, which was a huge part of it
Hmm.
because my womb was like, and I birthed, like I wrote a chapter of a book while I was here, and like I launched the womb sovereignty journey and the womb sovereignty movement from the road and all of the work I was doing from those grids, because those grids in New Mexico specifically,
Yeah.
and from my work with in the Badlands and with White Buffalo Calf Woman, who's an incredible womb healer, and I'm holding her lineage. It's like these things would never have arrived if I didn't travel and go
Yeah.
through the experiences that elevated me into my leadership, helped me reclaim my power, and also just completely surrendered and trust.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's here, who's arriving into the new earth frequency and knows that they have a mission, a purpose, it's so deeply connected to how deep do you trust your relationship with God, with yourself,
Hmm.
that this is what I'm being called into, and I'm gonna trust that I'm gonna receive what I need.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. And it resonates so deeply because, I mean, being an entrepreneur and following your mission, it's very confronting. It's very confronting. We know this. We already know this about each other. um, confronting is just the surface level word for that, okay? I don't think there's an actual word that we can use for this, but um
Yeah.
yeah, and it really does come down to like, can you, like, how deeper can you go with your relationship with God and with your mission and trust. And it's not an easy thing. It's honestly not an easy thing to trust and surrender because we're so programmed to like rely on the quote unquote logical, what's logical, and we're programmed to ignore our intuition and to ignore our womb when our womb has literally all the answers. Like they talk about like the gut feel, like that gut feeling, and it really is a womb feeling. And which leads me into my next question, because we were talking about how this can be a really confronting process, like even if you're not an entrepreneur, and just, I mean, everybody has womb work to do, right? Even, I mean, what's your take on this before I ask you this question? But like, have you ever worked with males around this? Because I feel like males have their own kind of they don't have a womb, but I feel like they have their own version of it. So I'm curious to know your perspective of that.
Yeah, I've never been called. The medicine has never taken me into
Yeah.
working with men, but what I will say is that I have taught my partner because I've been in union for over 6 years now, and we woke up
Wow.
together. So we
Oh,
were very
wow.
much, yeah, in the 3D Matrix world. We met as Bobby and Barbie, and we were
I love that.
yeah, we just knew something special was happening, and then we moved, and we woke up and we were called to ayahuasca together. He's also a
Hmm.
medicine man. And so
Amazing.
what with womb work, what I have worked with him on, because we do a lot of divine union work and support
Hmm.
in that space, is how to work with men to support their partner in womb healing. And
Yeah.
that is a really important piece. And so in terms of that, that's what I've done with him, that we're going to bring forward in the future around like our joint work together, because we used to do a lot of work together at our healing space on the islands, but then since on the road we both been kind of in our own fields, and
Hmm.
we're starting to come back together with that. But I think with men, working with their own sexual energy is really important, and responding with like what their partner needs in terms of consent, and for
Hmm.
the womb to feel safe with the masculine energy with the partner. And it's really valuable for the man in the relationship to develop a relationship with the womb consciousness of his beloved,
Mm.
just like she has a relationship. Like I have a relationship with my womb consciousness,
Hmm.
and I have invited my partner to build a relationship with my womb. And so he sings too. So we're both singers, and so he sings to my womb,
That is precious.
and
Oh.
blesses her, and like yeah, so tending from that space. So that's the work that I've been doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll just leave that there. Yeah.
So, how do you find like? I love how you said you invited him into the space, right? Which I think is really important, right? Um, but having that like divine, healthy masculine energy in such a sacred space, how do you feel like that is helpful, like just for other people who are listening, right? Because I can imagine, and I can say from my own past experience as well, that it's been hard when people are not able to quote unquote trust men, right? And I mean, they have valid reasons for sure, but also too, I think there's such a sacredness in letting the divine masculine in, and that it can also amplify the healing. It doesn't mean we're outsourcing the healing, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think that when we are in divine sacred union, and like you said, we can invite the healthy, safe masculine in, that it really helps with the healing process. So I'm just wondering, from either your experience or your client's experience, like how do you think that that deepens the process
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
potency?
Yeah, beautiful question. And I think this is a really important topic. So, if you are in union or even want to be in union, you having a safe relationship, an authentic relationship with your womb consciousness and knowing how she communicates to you, how she says, like, this is what I need, because
Hmm.
it's about advocating for your womb as well. And consent is a very important topic that I talk about a lot in my
Hmm.
work because so many times the womb hasn't given her consent to experiences. And I'm
Hmm.
not just sexual experiences, but like medical procedures,
Yeah.
things like that, right? Where there's been a violation. And then we lose that trust within ourselves of, I feel violated because I didn't create a boundary and I didn't
Yeah.
consent to that, but I didn't know what else to do because when a woman is in the womb amnesia corridor, this is when she's cut off from her womb consciousness and she's not in that harmonious flow. And this is where these things happen that traumatize the womb. And so when we are healing our wombs as women, we want to first focus on having that safe, trustworthy connection where our womb feels like she can communicate to us, where we're not going to judge her or shame her
Hmm.
or gaslight her and her
Yeah.
experiences. And once that's established and she can open up to us, then we can invite in our partner and say, I would really love you to be a part of this process. Can we go slow? Because womb healing is slow,
Mm.
happens layer
Yeah.
by layer.
Yeah.
And then even just starting out by, you know, laying together, not touching or anything, and just saying to your womb, I would really love to invite my beloved into this healing process. Are you open to that?
Hmm.
She says yes. Okay, what feels good? And maybe he places a gentle hand and just says, this is my presence. I want you to get to know me.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm not any other man that hurt you or
Yeah.
didn't respect you. I respect you. I love you. I'm here to support your healing process. Please feel me as this grounding, supportive provision for your process.
Yeah.
And she then starts to feel his presence, and building on that becomes more and more familiar. And then when it comes to being intimate, she will want to open to him because that respect has been established and she has given her consent and she knows he is someone that I want to allow in to penetrate me to support
Hmm.
the healing to because when you're in union and you receive your partner, he penetrates you with his
Yeah.
masculine divine energy. His energy will clear out all of the energies that aren't aligned to your
Yeah.
womb. And you can do that intentionally. And this is a much deeper process, but this is just to kind of like open up the possibility of when you feel safe with your partner and you have that multidimensional, like conscious intention, like your womb is going to open up and receive so much more. But it
Hmm.
starts with building that respect and that consent.
That is so powerful. I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak about womb healing like this, and like even just the practice that you proved that. Thank you so much for sharing that practice, by the way, because I think we're not taught this. We're not taught this about intimacy around you know, the masculine, like, even just placing his hand and just like laying together, right? A lot of the times, and this is not coming from a place of judgment, but I mean, based on like what I've seen and kind of what I've grown up with, is just like a lot of unconscious intimacy. And again, like that stems from a lot of trauma and just lack of education too, right? Again, it's not coming from a place of judgment, but having that practice and just like not actually completing, like, the sexual intercourse right at the beginning, and just taking it slow, like you said, like that builds so much trust and security, and just having a safe male present on your womb and just speaking to you, like, that's just so powerful, not just for like when the sexual intimacy actually does happen, but even if you're someone who wants to have children. Like, I think that, like, imagine, like, that's just creating a huge safety foundation on an energetic level, a physical level, for the child that is possibly going to be birthed. Like, I just think that that is absolutely so beautiful, so thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for receiving it and giving us the space to talk about it because
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And it also does set the stage for conscious conception,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
actual intentional sovereign conception
Yeah.
of we are preparing the womb, because this is also an extension of my work, preparing the womb for conscious conception
Yeah.
and releasing anything in there that you don't want your baby to take
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah.
And this is what women work with me. They're like, I'm preparing for pregnancy. I want to
Yeah.
clear out everything that is
Yeah.
in here that could, you know, be not supportive for the highest good of my baby and
Yeah.
pregnancy and birth and all of that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so much there. And I think with the unconscious intimacy, this also connects to like dissolving, because this is what my partner and I did. We had to dissolve a lot of our inorganic sexual programming
Mm,
around how we experienced,
yeah.
sexual energies, and had to like collapse all of that out and then rewrite it and align it to what our organic sexual alchemy and sexual blueprints are for
Hmm.
his soul, for like our soul together, of like what that actually looks like for us at like the
Mm,
highest level, rather than like, what our ego personalities and things like
yeah.
that we're doing. And it's like, oh, it's just such a huge process of homecoming and reclamation, because the womb shall help guide you through that, of like,
Yeah.
how do I actually want to experience pleasure? And am I like putting on a performance or a mask because I feel like I have to,
Hmm.
based on programming or whatever I took on?
Yeah.
But the womb still bringing back to like your true sensuality and that like genetic influence of like your true soul DNA. That is like, this is how you like to experience pleasure. Give yourself
Mm.
permission to go for it.
Yeah, and that's why this work is so important, because I think there's things that we think we like, or think we're supposed to like or enjoy, and then when we actually try it or it happens, we're just like, oh, like, is it supposed to feel like this? And sometimes, like, people normalize that, where they're just like, oh yeah, like, this is just how it is, and it's like, no, right? Like, this is why your work is so important. Thank you so much for sharing that. I have a last question for you, and I wrote it down, so I'm just gonna read it. So why is it important for women to reclaim their wombs as part of reclaiming their power and sovereignty? It's a loaded
Mm.
question, I know, but
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for asking. So, when you choose to reclaim your womb, when you claim the path of womb sovereignty, what you're communicating to God, to your higher self, is that you are intending to be a sovereign, conscious co-creator, which is in service to God, which is in service to the
Mhm.
co-creation of the new earth and of all of humanity. So we have a lot of people on this planet who are not consciously creating their
Mhm.
realities,
Yeah.
right? And we see that by what's happening in the collective space and all the
Yeah.
people that are suffering, that are in addiction, that aren't,
Yeah.
in their ideal highest timeline situations. And so they're creating from trauma, they're creating from
Hmm.
pain, from things that aren't actually of their highest. And so when you are a woman, you're birthing your life through your womb. And so what
Yes.
influences your womb is influencing your creation. So if your womb is being harvested and your power is being outsourced because of like different experiences and things, you're going to feel lack of creativity. You're not going to feel connected to your
Hmm.
feminine energy, to that intuition. You're going to be disconnected from your body because the womb body connection is so
Yeah.
important and it brings you home to your body. And you're going to feel like you don't have autonomy and sovereignty over how you create your life and your desires and how you receive in that beautiful feminine portal of creation. So when a woman decides, I'm taking my womb back and I'm no longer going to be a slave to these programs and
Yeah.
limitations, because your womb will also reveal to you what belief systems that you're holding on to that are keeping you small
Yeah.
and are sabotaging you. So she brings you home to your highest truth. So
Yeah.
when you reclaim your womb, you're essentially saying, I'm coming home to my highest truth and I'm ready to embody my God self,
Hmm.
truly. Because it is a
Yeah.
pillar of divine feminine reclamation. And it is like, it's like the center pillar that connects into personal power. So it brings it all in. So it's a huge piece to do. And it's honestly like some of the most powerful work. And I recommend that any woman who is like on the healing path and reclaiming her power really like tune into where her womb's at in that journey.
Yeah.
And if she feels ready to open that up, because your queendom is in your womb.
Hmm.
And when you heal your womb
Yes.
and you reclaim, like all pathways lead to the queendom. And so your queendom,
Yes.
all your dreams, your medicine, your highest timeline, like all the things that you're here to birth and create and be in like the most amazing, like love and bliss and joy, like that's your queendom.
Hmm.
And you access it through your womb. So if you want that dream life that like you feel this deep longing for, you have to look to the womb.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful wisdom with us. Like I said, I haven't seen people approach womb healing the way that you do, and that's honestly why I really wanted to have you on my podcast as well too. Your work is so unique, it's so beautiful, and just you and your essence, like it is such a blessing to have you. I'm so like on the podcast, but just in general, I'm just so excited that our pathways cross. Like it's such divine timing too, and how similar we both are, and yeah, really grateful to have had you on the podcast. If you have any last little nuggets of wisdom that you want to share, and also please tell us where you hang out the most so people can follow your work and learn more from you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really deeply receive and appreciate your reflections. And I believe in the power of women reclaiming their wombs. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
if every woman reclaimed the power of her womb and took her
Yeah.
power back. Imagine the kind of world we would live in.
Yeah.
And this is the movement that I'm leading and that I'm really passionate about. And I know what it's like to be disconnected. And it's never too late. Women come to me, they're like, well, I'm 60 years old, or I've never connected with my womb before. It's like, great, you're here now.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter where you are in your journey. I would say like the last piece is if you feel this nudge, this whispering of your womb, if you're seeing things come up, if you feel that grief of
Mm-hmm.
disconnection, just giving yourself permission to start connecting with your womb can be really powerful. And I'd love to invite you to reach out to me. I have a lot of
Yes.
beautiful healing resources that are available. And of course, my containers too, which are, the next
Yes.
step into to deepening this work. But yeah, I hang out the most, I would say, on Facebook. I have a
Okay.
free Facebook group as well that I do live master classes and things like that in there when I feel inspired. So you can find me on Facebook under Eleja SunStar, or you can find me on Instagram at Sanctuary of Sophia. So that's where I am. And yeah, I would love to welcome you to reach out to me if this medicine resonated. And if you're curious to learn more, just come into the world of the Sophionic medicine realm and see what's here for you.
Yes. Yes. Please reach out to Alicia. I can just tell you firsthand that her work is so powerful, so potent, so moving. And we all need an Alicia in our life. So okay, so I'm gonna leave all your links in the show notes, and so people can, go ahead and check her out there. And I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for coming on here. It's been so nice to spend time with you and to hear more about your work and get to know you more. And I would love to have you on again. So,
Thank you,
yeah.
sister. So much love to you. Thank you so much for your beautiful light and all that you share in the world.
Oh,
It's
thank
just
you.
infectious to be in your energy, and I feel so uplifted being in this space with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I fully received that, and the feeling is so mutual. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means so much to me that we got to spend time together today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at safehavensanctuary_. And if this episode resonated with you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would share it with someone who you think it might resonate with as well. Or better yet, you could take a screenshot of this episode and share it to your story, tag me in it, just so we can bring more awareness to the podcast, and this will help the podcast to grow as well too. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate you listening, and I love you. Thank you for being here with me. Your presence, your time, your heart, your soul is so deeply valued here. I'll see you on the next episode.